Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Adeptus Ridiculous podcast. My name is DK Diamantes. His name is Bricky. You know why we're here. And if you're here and you're like, man, if only I could support this podcast somehow, maybe heading over to patreon.com/Adeptus Ridiculous, where you can get access to the Discord, bloopers if they happen. $15 tier gets you access to all of our posters in crispy digital form. It's wonderful. It's great. Speaking of posters, Bricky, guess what? There's a new one today.
I mean, which one was the last one? Was the last one the bomb?
I think it was. Think Fast.
Was it Think Fast? Because that one was pretty good. I feel like your ideas have started to come into their own a little bit and have become less problematic over the times.
You know, I really wish I could take credit for coming up with these, but I can't. Usually it's Shy's like, hey, what do you think of this poster, idiot? And I'm like, wow, that's pretty. I like it. And then they go ahead with it. So I can't really take any credit for like the ideas of it. You got to give that to Shy and like Callistay.
Okay, fine. Well, I'll give it to them for the time being, but
yeah.
all things considered, it's still frightening to me. Anyway, what is the poster?
Yeah, Shy, what's the poster?
What
Show
do we
the
got
poster
this time around?
Boom.
We have.
How about that? The taglines have been so primo lately.
Hold on. I'm thinking hard.
Okay. Don't hurt yourself.
Okay, we got creepy goth GF. Is this the? Oh wait, I haven't even read.
I was gonna say if you read what Shy posted, you can see exactly what it's based on.
I just looked at just the actual artwork. I was like,
this
reminds me of the people from the Astartes 2 thing we talked about with Kira. This reminds me of the weird death people, the mortifactors. And then I look to the left and it says, Shy in bold letters says, this poster is inspired by the mortifactors.
From Space Hammer 5 number.
Yeah. Sorry, the Morta F asterisk actor is from Space Hammer 5 numbers.
Legally distinct.
Dark and brooding chapter with a very morbid, dark outlook on life. Therefore, Goth GF with knife.
With the tagline, I can fix her.
Duck smoke.
Classic.
Duck smoke. If you enjoy this poster as well, obviously, you can check it out over at orchidate.com. However, you may wish to click on the new link down in the description. We have since updated the website, and so if you go to like orchidate.com/Adderbrick or something, you're probably going to get an error 404. So there is a brand new link down in the description. Give it a look, check it out, and it's going to be some good stuff.
Well,
check it out. And also,
brother.
Of course, if you're a patron, you get the digital version for being a part of the patronage. Yippee.
Hell yeah. Let's go. Pretty, as the kids say, it's pretty poggers, dude.
So, DK. Episode today.
There is an episode. Oh, whoa. Is that why we're here?
We have episode.
Cool.
We have it now. It exists currently. And we will talk about it.
Oh, nice. Now, before recording, you were like, yeah, I want to say it's a short episode, but every time we say that, hour plus.
It always goes way longer than we assume. There's a good chance this might still go an hour plus, but it's not because the actual subject matter of it is interesting and long. It is more so the fact that we will probably just yap and like theorize instead.
Oh. Yappers do yap.
You know, yapping is very much apparently like a Gen Z quote.
Oh, it so is. I feel like yapping became like popular again very just recently with like streamer VTuber popularity.
The phrase, not
the
act
phrase
of speaking.
No. Yapping has been around since like the dawn of talking.
Anyway, mystery quote. You ready? A new selection of quick snacks for the guardsmen on the go replaced your traditional oat loaf bars. Despite scandalous rumors you may have heard, these are not simply repackages of food destined for domesticated felines, and are in fact carefully balanced micro meals, providing all of the goodness you need for a meal in a few juicy mouthfuls. They are available in 2 delicious flavors: fish and rodent.
Oh.
They done chopped up our researcher.
Oh,
They
no.
done
Poor
they
poor
done
possum.
they done put possum in the soup.
So, obviously, this is, guard rations, and Imma be honest, I feel like I have a bit of a leg up on this quote because I saw this morning, I saw the tweet about plans for future episodes, and I did see a tin of corpse-starch. And granted, I'm assuming that's what we're doing today is the corpse-starch. But I will out myself. I did not just figure I knew about corpse-starch and how wacky, wild, and gross it is, but, I'll take corpse-starch for 1,000, Alex.
I love how you, even when you get it, like, somewhat correct, you still can't even give yourself the pleasure of getting it right.
I can't because I saw the tweet this morning that showed, like, what we were planning for episodes, and I saw tins of corpse-starch, and I was like, "Surely that's not today," and I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. I
He is
cheated. I cheated.
honest. He is honest if he is anything.
Mhm.
You are somewhat correct. Did I just get hit by an epic embed fail?
You sure did.
God damn, really?
Yeah, really.
What the hell, man? It
On my
was
screen, it's literally a pile of shit that's got a
me
sad face on it.
me with, like, the soldier in the desert staring at the camera being like, "Here it comes," and the tornado being an image of Ryan Gosling eating cereal.
Make that happen.
I wanted to post this picture of this cat with all the Cheez-Its on him.
Aw, little orange cat?
Yeah, he's not very smart, but that's okay.
It's a cat.
Yeah.
Sometimes cats just be like that.
Anyway, because it has food all over him. So it's not corpse starch specifically.
Mhm.
This episode is actually more just the food of the Imperium. Like this is shy
Okay.
in all caps. Bricky, stop before we move on. I want you to check
Impending
out,
doom.
I want you to check out the thumbnail Ted's cooking up for this. Okay, well the Knockman one was pretty good.
Yeah, it really was.
All right, I will look at the thumbnail.
Bricky, stop before
Bricky,
we move
stop.
on. Wait, second.
Hurry up and wait.
Sorry, Shy.
Oh,
Wow. Spit out
It's
cats.
pretty
Alright,
good.
alright, alright, yep.
All right, that's a good thumbnail.
Yeah, we
That's a damn
cooking.
good thumbnail.
We
All right,
cooking for
all right,
sure.
fine. All right,
Worth.
worth. Anyway, so it is food. It is food in the Imperium, and also not just the Imperium, also food in some of the other cultures as well. But mainly, it's just like, you look at Warhammer, and it's this awful authoritarian, totalitarian religious cult.
Mhm.
And it is clear sci-fi, but it's sci-fi fantasy, and it's so dystopian. The question remains of like, well, what the hell do they eat? You know?
Yeah. Yeah, whenever I think of corpse starch, it's always just Soylent Greens is people, and they just have such a surplus of people that at some point, they probably were gonna resort to using bodies and stuff and grinding them up into a powder, into a starch, and, granted, that's not, like, the only thing that they eat, that's not, like, the only food source available, but in the grim darkness of 40K.
I mean, there's the old little quote with the Kriegsman who had his buddy or a different guard regiment die, and he was like siphoning blood from him. And he
Yeah.
says, your friend is dead and does no longer needs his blood. Wouldn't you want it to go to a better place? And so always a little bit of good business there. But
Mm.
with that all being said, yes, so it is more of the food of 40K. Big E, more like big eats.
Nope. Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
That's on
We're moving
you,
on.
That's on you,
Yep.
Possum. That was your failed joke. I didn't.
Every time a joke doesn't hit now, I'm just gonna be like, "Oh, well, it was in the script. Jesus, possum, what the hell?"
Yeah, but whenever a joke is really good, it was my joke. I was the one who thought of
Absolutely.
it.
Hell yeah, brother.
So, obviously, the difference between corpse-starch and Soylent Green is the fact that the people who eat corpse-starch are very aware of what it is made of.
Mm,
But if we're gonna be boring, we do need to be a little boring before we can be fun. So, the most thing to be obvious and most clear is, what is the most prominent food in the Imperium? What is the most eaten food in the entire Imperium? And if you're thinking it's something weird in sci-fi, you are incorrect. It is the boring answer. It
is it just like meat?
it's corn.
Oh, that is the
It
boring answer.
it's corn. Corn makes a lot of sense. In the United States, corn or some kind of byproduct of corn makes or is found in over 70% of food products in one way or another. Everything from cereals to even like alcohol. It is used in the production of ethanol, and about 94% of ethanol in the United States is from corn.
I'm sorry I have to do this, but the world eaters are very thrilled with this news. I'm sorry, I had to. Somebody had to do it. With the amount of times you said corn, I'm sorry. Blood for the blood god, skulls for the skull throne. Someone had to say it, and
I
good.
mean, there's the Agri-world. You can see there that Shy posted from space. That is corn. Those are fields of corn.
Wow, really? All so that big circular areas, that's just corn.
Fields of corn.
It's a
Agri-world.
lot of corn.
It's a lot of corn.
It's a lot of corn. I guess when you had to feed the Imperium, you do need agri-worlds that are just like 75 or 25% of it is dedicated to just growing corn.
Plus, I mean, you use corn very often for feeding livestock,
Mhm.
and these citizens of the Imperium are, in one way or another, livestock for the
Yeah.
Imperium. Uh,
That's true.
so in our real world, there is over 22,000 types of corn. It is a very firm, like, option for mass farming and production. Very few plants have as much of a massive and long-term genetic hybridization than corn, and it is a very common concept that in the beginning, when you sent all the ships away from Terra, they probably brought along corn seeds. It grows incredibly easily, very well. It also was one of the only surviving plants in Interstellar. The Christopher Nolan film was also corn.
I need to
Like,
watch that at some point.
it is a very good film.
Mhm.
I
Also,
think
like,
it's
corn is like Shy posted that, like, that sort of retro poster about corn being the food. It's a very versatile thing anyway. You can make just about anything out of corn.
corn is insane. It is a ludicrously powerful plant.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I mean, like, the answer in this case, in the world of the Imperium, in the world of 40K, it is corn. They are not as hilariously over the top as Warhammer is. They do occasionally have little grounding bits, and one of them is the fact that it is obviously lots of corn. Now, naturally, we don't wanna go too deep into the soil and green part to get, like, put the cart before the horse, so to speak.
Mhm.
But, as the soil like, obviously, Soylent Green is an adaptation of the novel Make Room, Make Room.
Oh,
And
I
it's
didn't
a
actually know that.
yeah, it's like, it's its own, like, little, like, side novel. And it's like
Mm.
make room, like exclamation points at the end
Yeah.
of each, which is a cautionary tale about overpopulation. And the TLDR is it takes place in the far future of 2022,
I hate
where
that.
where obviously overpopulation has obliterated the ecosystem of Earth. New York City has a population of over 40 million, and the only people who can live a halfway decent life are the hyper elite. So the most prominent company around it is the Soylent Corporation that acts as a food producer because there are so many people. And they obviously make various types of little Soylent type things, little crackers. Soylent
Mhm.
Red is from red lentils, Soylent Yellow is made from soy, and the most popular one is made from green plankton, known as Soylent Green. However, sorry for the spoiler of a movie from 1973. Due to massive overpopulation, Soylent Green is in fact actually people, and is legalizing the use of euthanasia and encouraged because then they make more food from them.
Yeah. Soylent Greens is people.
Yes, and so that is the whole tale of there, of course. Now, obviously, corpse starch is a version of recycled human biomass that we use later on and a major portion of the food trade. But if we are being as obvious as we are, motherfucking corn.
Just just motherfucking corn. Let's go. Hell
Again,
yeah.
corn.
We love
Now,
corn.
if you had to guess, what do you think everyone drinks?
Water?
Yes, absolutely. You've heard all kinds of various types of foods. You hear things about the amount of amasec they drink and things like that. But yes, the answer is, again, the obvious one. It's water.
Mhm.
They've got giant purification crystals, and it's often described with like a little metallic tinge at times. But yes, everyone drinks water and eats corn.
Makes
Now,
sense.
that's boring, though.
It's
So,
super boring. Give me some hard-hitting Warhammer drank.
of course. So, how do you manage a population in the trillions, right?
Mhm.
Naturally, the way you do that is seriously large amounts of agriculture. Now, that makes us into a particular kind of world known as an agri-world.
Yep.
Now, an agri-world obviously is an agricultural world, and it is terraformed often to allow the production of food and to make more space for the food. Populations on agri-worlds are very small, often a workforce of maybe only about 1 million people on a planet, of roughly the size of Earth. So, very small population.
Yeah, if it's the size of Earth and it's only like 1,000,000 workers, essentially, that's kind of a skeleton crew.
Right. And often a lot of people are thinking that living on an agri world would be quite nice because the population is so spread out compared to, say, a hive city.
Mhm.
However, and in fact, a lot of Imperial propaganda tells you that relocating to an agri world to work is great. However, when you actually get down into an agri world, it is not the most fun time. For example, the terraforming is not particularly subtle. I'll uh, I'll read a little quote here.
Okay.
The Imperium is not a gentle custodian of such places. After discovery of a candidate planet, the first 50 years are spent in terraforming according to well-known Martian procedures. All pre-existing life is scrubbed from the rocks, either by the application of controlled virus chewers or by timed flame drops. The atmosphere is regulated first through the actions of gigantic macro processors and thereafter by a land-based network of control units, more commonly referred to as command nodes. Weather, at least as generally understood, disappears. Rainfall becomes a matter of controlled timing, governed by satellites in low orbit and kept in line by fleets of dirigibles. The empty landscape is divided up into colossal production zones, each patrolled by crawlers and pest thopters. Millions of base-level servitors are imported, kept at the very lowest level of cognitive function, but bulked up by a ruthless level of muscle binders. You just
Huh.
like you're terraforming the planet in a way that is like you're not making it a lush, beautiful place. You are with a blunt force and hammer controlling every aspect of this planet's existence.
Oh, yeah, you're slash and burning it and then remaking it into a green I don't wanna say a greenhouse, but yeah. So, also, man, you don't get a lot of dirigibles anymore. You don't hear much about dirigibles anymore. That's a fun word to say too.
I've honestly never heard that word until right now.
Oh, really?
What is a dirigible, DK?
Ah, I wanna say it's like a Zeppelin or like a blimp. I always remember it because, I can never escape it. Warframe had a, Sentinel that was sort of called a dirigible, and it was kinda like a little balloon that floated next to you.
Oh, well, I guess, I guess I didn't really think of it as like a little Zeppelin balloon.
Yeah, a little Zeppelin balloon doodad. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an old-timey word, so I'm not shocked if someone's like, "I don't know what a dirigible is." It's like, well, that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I've never heard of it before.
Yeah.
I am now learning.
Hell yeah,
Now
brother.
obviously As the production of food is such a massive scale, the entire surface is dedicated to just a few foodstuffs in a highly mechanized sense, which might not seem bad on paper, but consider the following, right? Earth is a planet with biomes that work in sync with each other. It's an ebb and flow between biomes that
Mhm.
allows things to naturally grow in a seasonal sense. When a world is terraformed for an express mechanized purpose, the natural flow of things is entirely thrown off and the forced schedule is put on the surface of the planet, which has dire consequences for the planet. As though the surface can be changed, the planet can't fully be changed. This means that agri-worlds will face incredible and unpredictable storms and traumatic surface damage that cannot be repaired often. Because they have a massive overharvesting of food, it makes so that the soil doesn't have much time to mend itself, more plants are planted, and the fate of most of the agri-worlds after a few full harvests is an uninhabitable death world.
Ooh. Oh, so they terraform a planet and then they just reap it until it is dead.
So, I mean, the quote here is, "But that doesn't matter. A planet can be driven like this for thousands of years before it eventually keels over and becomes a death world. The quality of the crops gets steadily worse, but the quantity can be sustained almost indefinitely, assuming that supply lines are maintained and imports remain constant."
Oof. That sucks.
Yeah,
But
so,
I mean,
like,
I guess it's just one of those things you have to do if you're the Imperium, though. Like, you just have too many people. So if it means just over harvesting a agri world after terraforming it and just letting it waste away eventually after thousands of years, like you kind of have to.
I mean, I would not say that it is something that the Imperium has to do. I know for a fact they could do it better,
Yeah.
because their technology is so backwards and ridiculous. But obviously, in this situation, like they're just like, get as much out of it as you possibly can.
Yeah,
When in
naturally.
reality, there's clearly better ways to do it, but the
Mhm.
Imperium doesn't invent technology. So
They can. Think of how mad the AdMech would be.
there's also an infamous saying that goes along with this stuff that says, "You come for the soil, you end up a part of it." So,
Ooh.
if you're a worker on these planets, you will most likely be, like, mulchified or whatever the phrase is, and you'll be put
Oh,
back into the soil. There is
I
no
see.
there is no retiree for you.
No. Ooh.
Now now, on the other subject of food, because corn is boring, we have the other very enjoyable part, the Grocs.
The Grox?
The Grocs. You have most likely heard the phrase Grocs before, most likely as Grok shit.
Mhm.
Which is basically their version of bullshit. It's the cow.
Oh, okay, cool.
Even though it's
Whoa.
not it's yeah, I was say it's the cow. It's not actually a cow. It is a weird reptilian creature, but it's often the real world version of the cow. It's a bunch of grok shit.
Okay, it's a fantasy cow. It's a sci-fi fantasy cow. It looks like a damn dragon.
Despite the fact that it is a long reptilian creature, yes.
Mhm.
So it is the another major piece of food. It's called slab. Now, there are instances of your standard cattle and cattle-like animals, but the most prominent form of livestock in the Imperium is a creature known as the Grox. It is roughly 5 meters or 16.5 feet in American, or about 5 waifu pillows in DK.
Now I know the measurement.
It is about a 5-meter long reptilian creature, which is makes sense because it's about the same size as a saltwater crocodile.
Okay.
It is built a bit stockier. So you imagine a crocodile as bovine, of course, and it is, by all accounts, a highly dangerous and angry creature that is notably violent and territorial.
Oh. And this is what we have chosen to be the food source. All right.
Well, you flip that bitch over, and its skin and meat on its stomach is highly nutritious and very palatable for humans.
Ah, so risk reward. It might be a dangerous territorial bitch, but that succulent belly meat.
It also, is a huge perk about the Groks is that they can fully sustain themselves on a very minute diet. Their digestive system is incredibly remarkable, and they can eat like a couple rocks a week.
That is are there, like, Grox farmers that, like,
Oh, yeah.
herd and yeah, because I was gonna say, like, even if they are violent, territorial, whatever, surely something like that, you gotta farm, breed, and just keep them in, Yeah. Also, I wonder if there's, like, a Grox version of, like, Kobe beef where they just, like, hang it and, like, never let its feet touch the ground and just let it get nice and fat so it's even more succulent.
I mean, there are cuts of Grox, I assume, that are more sought after than others.
Mm.
Now, obviously, these things can exist in a relatively any like reasonable environment because they're big reptiles, so they can be spread across the Imperium super easy. They also lay eggs at a pretty rapid rate, so it is a really good livestock when it comes to meat.
Yeah. Do they eat the eggs?
I'm pretty sure they do. Well, they just make more Grox.
Make a Grox egg omelet?
Yeah, yeah. They're making the mother of all Grox omelets here, Jack.
Hell yeah, brother.
Can't fret over every egg. Uh, Now, if you're a little bit worried about the whole they're very aggressive thing, don't you worry. The Imperium has figured out a lovely solution, which is lobotomies and neurological prods implanted into their brains.
Yeah, that does sound like an Imperium thing to do. Yeah, not I, it's crazy. Whenever it's like, oh yeah, in 40K they found a solution. It's lobotomy and removing your brain and making you a docile sheep. It's like, yeah, that tracks.
Yeah, why bother with like thinking too hard and having to worry about things like disagreements when you can just lobotomize them?
Yeah, so easy.
Yeah. Now, of course, the meat harvested from these creatures is slab. It is the
Mhm.
most prominent meat of this of the all the Imperium. It's actually what the actual slab is a little bit in the realm of the author's discretion, which is a theme that we will return to.
Yeah.
But on the surface, it is a highly processed Grox meat, which would very much make sense.
Mhm.
I mean, for the most part, it is just like the Grox is an incredibly useful animal. It is harvested for its meat, its hide for its leather, its teeth and its claws for its blades. Every little bit of the Grox is harvested in some way for the Imperium. It is very high in protein, cheap to manufacture, slow to degrade. It's it is perfect.
Well, that's fair. Those fangs and stuff would make really good blades and stuff, and it does have a really thick hide. So that's fair. I hadn't thought about harvesting it for other stuff. Is there Grox milk?
Probably.
Yeah.
I
I don't see
mean,
no udders though, so I don't know, man.
there's probably also Grox shit that is used for manure and stuff. Like it appears to be just a genuinely really good. I mean, Grox hide is a phrase also used. I remember like the guardsmen tend to use the word Grox hide.
Mhm.
Like a Grox hide's really tough. I'm pretty sure they always refer to it as like, oh, it's tough, like a Grox hide.
Yeah. Very
Uh,
versatile animal. Cool, cool, cool.
Funny enough, there is a little quote here that goes, "A second meat supply supplemented the first. The Ephraim balked at the sight of it. A great heap of corpses were being thrown into the grinders, limp and blank-eyed, shot through with las beams or bullet holes. A tangle of malformed limbs and tusks and hooves and brutish snouts and slit-nosed faces and lithe bodies. He recognized green skins and a few others. Heat flared across his skin despite the cold room, and his heart hammered as the barrage fell upon him again, taking his leg, tearing apart just like the meat in those wretched fucking grinders. The sheer horror of it, wondering how far the conspiracy went and how deep. Most of Varangantua's citizens hadn't ever seen a Xenos, and those that had, not in decades. Many thought aliens were just a myth, and yet they were all being thrown in the grinder into
Mm.
their food.
Yum.
So you got a little bit of slab being a little bit of human, a little bit of orc. This is the
Yeah.
sawdust version.
Yeah, you don't wanna see how the sausage is made. You really will ruin your appetite.
You really don't.
Nope. Nope, nope, nope,
Now,
nope.
of course, this does not mean that all slab is orc, obviously. Slab is actually introduced originally in Gaunt's Ghosts way back when as a white putty made from available nutritional sources, but this appears to have been adjusted a little bit more to make slab more of like the meat, like a big chunk of meat of some sort.
Okay. Okay. Also, I was just thinking about, wouldn't there be problems with processing orc meat? And just like,
Don't worry about it.
all right, cool.
You're thinking, that's how you get a lobotomy, DK. You're thinking too hard.
You're right. I'm about to be servitorized talking like that.
You gotta watch yourself there, okay? We don't want you to ask too many questions.
Fair and valid. Let's move on before the Inquisitor shows up at my house.
Mm-hmm. Now, if we're moving past Grox and we're moving past corn and water, let's get into the one that people are the most curious about.
Mm-hmm.
Corpse-starch.
Corpse-starch. Yep.
So corpse-starch is one of the most prominent foods you can find in hive cities specifically, particularly in Necromunda, and we have no idea what it's made of.
Please tell me that's got to be a joke, right? That they're like, oh yeah, hey everyone, here's our newest, most favorite canned corpse-starch. What's it made out of? Who knows, right?
Who
We don't know.
knows?
We call it corpse-starch because it makes sure that you don't become a corpse. That's why you should eat this starch. Please tell me that can't be
You call
right,
it
can it?
corpse-starch because it's the food that makes corpses of our enemies.
Oh no. Oh, no.
Obviously, corpse-starch is very clearly known.
Okay.
Um,
Okay, good. I was like, please. I know this is like a parody, but oh no. Oh
Yeah.
no.
No, they people realize it very much. They know what corpse-starch is.
Okay, good.
It is like generally corpse-starch is interchangeable with a foodstuff in 40K known as Soylent's Viridians.
Okay.
I know.
All right.
I know.
Just smack me over the head with it. All right.
It's so like apparently it's actually kind of humorous because there's a little bit of an internal joke in 40K.
Mm-hmm.
It's very funny. So corpse-starch is used interchangeably with the foodstuff known as Soylent's Viridians, which is obviously a Games Workshop lol ha ha ha
Haha,
thing.
Soylent yeah.
However, if you would assume that Soylent Viridians is a form of like human cookie, you're actually wrong. Soylent's Viridians is actually just beans.
Really? It's just beans?
I believe this is intentional, as it appears that it is straight up just like tofu. And so the joke is that they've made their version of Soylent green, but it is not actually people. So I think in a sheer moment of humor from Games Workshop, they have taken the piss out of it, and they've decided to be like, you know what, our Soylent green is not actually people; it's just like tofu.
Wait. So corpse-starch is it's tofu?
No, Soylent
Soylent
Viridian.
Viridians. Okay. Just that one product in the corpse-starch is tofu. That is not the whole. Okay, cool.
So it's obviously assumed that the two of them are the same thing, but they are actually not. It is just its own little funny thing of beam.
Gotcha.
Corpse-starch, as mentioned originally, is a very prominent food in the Imperium. Just, like not as much as corn.
Sure.
Now, originally in early Necromunda lore, corpse-starch was quite limited. And a few times over, they were talking about how it's mainly in the lower parts of the hive, and there are so many stockpiles that there eventually gets rotting. But this changed massively dramatically in 2017 when Necromunda was relaunched,
Mm-hmm.
and it began to be far more prominent in the face that corpse-starch was a super common thing, as the life of the citizen in the Imperium is literally grinding you into a pulp. It like actually,
Oh.
genuinely grinds you into a pulp.
Yeah, no longer a metaphor, actual reality. You get ground into a pulp, turned into corpse-starch, and you feed everybody else to be ground up in sort of a crazy Ouroboros.
Yeah, I mean, it's the idea that the Imperium will grind you into dust because of the mechanized horribleness of the regime.
Mm-hmm.
But like in this sense, they're taking it quite literally.
Yeah. Yuck.
Now the upkeep and production is actually quite interesting. It's done by something known as the Corpse Guild. The Corpse Guild regulates the trade and production of corpse-starch. and it is one of the major and most important roles of the guilds in Necromunda because millions of people are born and die each day, and without the orderly disposal of corpses, plague and disease would run rampant. Without a food source that these corpses provide, then they would also, have massive issues with the populace and they would starve.
Yeah.
So the Corpse Guild gathers up thousands of dead every cycle, filling their mortuary caravans with piled bodies and then rendering them down in grinding automata
Oof.
and grinding them into corpse starch.
I almost hate to ask, but is the process of making corpse starch literally just like they throw the bodies into just a big meat grinder thing and just grind it as far as it'll go until corpse starch?
Well, for here's a quick episode of how it's made.
Oh no, the
Uh,
worst episode of how it's made.
so as obviously what mentioned earlier, the Corpse Guild is responsible for the requisition of mass amounts of bodies for corpse starch. So to do so, they dispatch groups of harvesting parties during times of conflicts that are led by some groups called the Pale Consorts. The bodies are then brought to the and I quote corpse grinders,
Great.
uh, and who then butcher the body and send it up into the corpse starch factory. And then the end result is a paste like substance, very reminiscent of tofu, that is tasteless, completely tasteless.
Oh, great. So you don't even know what you're eating. That's lovely.
Uh,
That's lovely. Yeah, I love it.
but obviously, according to the marketing board for corpse starch, everyone in Necromunda loves it.
Well, I guess you bring up a fair point, Shy. Would you rather it taste like corpse TK? And it's like, well, I guess tasteless tofu is better than wow, this tastes like Jim.
Like,
So
oh,
fair.
for a second, I thought I was like sweat and like heavy weights.
Like
No,
JIM, like
yeah,
the
I mean
man
like
named
Jim.
Jim. Yeah.
Pam, whatever happened to Jim? And she's like, I don't know, eating tofu.
Yeah. Nom, nom, nom. This salad is delicious. Love the tofu in it. Yeah.
It is genuinely you grab all your dead, you bring them to the corpse grinders, they butcher your body, they throw you into the factory, you come out with whatever additional additives they add to it, which is a paste-like tofu tasteless substance that is, in fairness, extremely nutritious.
I imagine it would be if it's made out of, people meat.
It is people meat.
Yeah.
Though I do know something interesting. The human brain is very hardwired that if you eat anything that is human related, you deal with major amounts of psychological stress. Um,
Oh,
yeah, like the brain is just hardwired. Like the brain just basically is like, hey, you eat human meat, you will
go
have
crazy.
major problems.
Oh, what
Even
did
if
they do this study on, like, cannibals or something?
I think so. I think it was
It
like
had to be, right?
that or like people who had to eat other humans to survive in a situation.
Oh, right, like that famous plane crash where it's like they didn't really want to, but if it's between your buddy who just died and your survival, it's like, well,
Yeah, the rugby players, I think.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
Though the thing about the obviously is they probably one could argue that's why the people in the Imperium are so insane. Or you could say that they probably make some adjustments to the code and algorithm to how they make corpse starch to make it a little bit more acceptable for humans.
True. Yep, yep.
Right. Um, yeah, but yeah, obviously Soylent Green would not really work IRL because there are not as many dead humans to alive humans, and obviously human meat has bad effects on the body.
Yeah,
But
naturally.
the despite the Imperium being so backwards, they do have pretty insane tech. So there
They
is the good
do.
chance they could just undo it somehow. But we don't know
Oh,
how.
sure. Like the AdMech would have some sort of MacGuffin that was like, "Oh, yes, we've made this completely palatable with no side effects."
Right.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, in the end of Soylent Green, the main character screams about how Soylent Green is people, right?
Yep.
In an attempt to break the wheel, stop the production, etc. And the audience is left to generally guess whether or not he was believed.
Mhm.
Because that's kind of like the weird ending there.
Yeah, the
The ba-
cliffhanger.
in the Imperium in 40K, we have the bad ending. which is everyone being like, yeah, so what?
Yeah.
It's food.
Yeah, what's the alternative, pal? Huh?
Yeah.
What are you fixing for us in its place? Yeah.
It's not even entirely all humans. Sometimes it's just considered recycled mass. So rodents, insects, humans, whatever is dead in the
Oh,
hive.
okay. So it could be people, it could be cats, it could be rodents, it could be bugs. It's just a mishmash of essentially whatever they found lying around dead, along with maybe a lot of human meat.
Maybe we're more like the Tyranids than you'd expect.
Yeah, it sounds like that. I was about to say, like, turn that shit into a soup and just,
Also, hilariously, due to the focus on dead bodies and corpse starch production, members of the Corpse Guild have fallen to corn before.
oh wow, really?
Yeah,
Well, I guess that makes sense because, like, yeah,
kind of
humans are
funny.
very easily susceptible. Yeah, that makes sense. Sure.
No, so there are a couple other kinds of Imperium corpse starch. Also, yeah, that is what the Corpse Guild looks like. That image above.
Oh wow, what a pleasant group of people. Like you love to see them. You love to turn the corner and see one of these guys.
Yeah, the Bring Out Your Dead folks have gotten an upgrade.
Yeah, and how these people fell to corn? Never,
No, never.
never.
So there are a couple other bits of Imperium food stuff as well. A few other notable foods: apple peaches hybrids are a thing
Ooh,
that are kind of fun. That being said, if it is not stored at exactly 18.5 degrees, it will spoil in minutes.
Eee.
So that's kind of funny. There's also plenty of instances of synth in the Imperium, which is synth is thinking of like a Bubba Gump shrimp sense. Like you're literally adding synth in front of any type of food you can think of. It's just
Oh,
synth apple,
s-
synth
right.
peaches,
And I'm
synthetic
assuming that's a
versions.
synthetic, like, fake version of it, like,
Yeah.
almost like a sort of a Star Trek replicator thing where it's like, "Oh, yeah, it's good enough, but it's not home cooking."
Yeah, any other foods past that is just some kind of like sci-fi reference. They talk about things like protein vats or like Nutribars and just your general sci-fi crap.
Okay. Yeah,
Uh,
when it came to, like, 40K food, I just kind of assumed most of it would be, like, like Calorie Mates, like those chalky nutrient bars that people in, like, I wanna say Japan and Asia eat because they just can't stop, and it's like, "Well, I'm working a 20-hour shift. I guess I need some nutrition."
yeah, I mean that kind of is part of it. It's just like, oh dear, here's this, major what the word is. It's like is this major kind of like because they had it in Bloodlines. The main guy would just like heat up Nutribars. And it's just
Oh,
like,
that's
yeah,
true. Yeah, yeah, he did.
I just need some damn nutrients. I think
Yeah.
he ate too many of them and then he got fat. And that was like kind of
Mhm.
his that was like part of the joke.
Yeah.
But there are a few other things. There's also of course a recaf,
Coffee.
uh caffeine.
Mhm.
It is a dark colored liquid with energizing properties.
It's coffee.
It's
It's
goddamn
fucking
coffee.
coffee, yeah.
It's coffee. That being said, the very thin and limited descriptions we get, we can assume that there is at least a difference between recaf and caffeine, caffine. Whereas is caffeine is actually made from leaves or beans, while recaf is completely synthetically derived.
Okay. So it's synthetic coffee.
It's synthetic coffee. I mean, recaf is basically just if you actually take the description in Gladius, there's a better version of it, which is these humble fields of wild herbs hide a secret, a rich food and narcotic stimulant that allows organic races to go without sleep or rest for great periods of time. Called recaf by humans, it's collected, processed, and distributed by factory workers and slaves to greatly improve their output. So, like, it's coffee.
Yeah, it's coffee. Yeah.
It's coffee.
Yep, it sure is.
Now there are other things as well. There is something, yeah, and also like probably the caffeine, the real leaves and beans are probably for the nobles who are
Yeah,
just really
that makes
rich.
sense. Mhm.
Now, if you're referring to other kind of food stuff in the Imperium, there's also something called the green Torox. Now, the green Torox beverage, it's a beverage that's name is Green Torox Canned Fluid Refreshment and Energy Delivery System Single Use.
Yeah, we're just gonna call that green Torox.
It's an energy drink. It's a rock star
It's
or
Monster.
it's a monster or a rock star, or if you're a boomer gamer, a Balls energy drink.
Ooh. Wow. I vaguely remember balls. Sorry guys, I've never drank balls.
The main the BAWLS Balls energy drink.
Yeah.
Now the main ingredient in this beverage, however, is something known as Frenzon. And Frenzon is a type of combat drug that makes the user frenzied and fearless of death. So
Oh.
this drink is literally given to guardsmen who are considered sufficiently expendable, and if they provide that drink, they are not allowed to drink anything else, which makes them a vicious and effective soldier, but it tends to have them result in dying within an hour of consumption.
Oh. It's the rage drink that kills you. Great. Lovely.
Uh,
Also, oh my god, Shai's right. Green Torox is totally just Red Bull because Torox is a bull and it's green, not red. As soon as I heard green, I thought Monster Energy immediately, but oh god, yeah, it's just Red Bull.
it's just Red Bull.
It's
Green
just Red Bull.
Torox, Red Bull.
Jesus. All right.
Yep,
No,
it's
you're right.
literally
You're right,
Red Bull.
Shai. Yeah, yep. Okay, cool.
Also, apparently the ingredients the green Torox was a secret, but due to a printing error, the ingredients were printed on the can. And so the Imperium did the best to backtrack that by putting a big sticker over the ingredient list and says, ingredients redacted, do not remove sticker under pain of death.
That's the most Imperium thing I think I've ever heard. And I'm sure the general populace was like, yeah, I'm not touching that sticker. Fuck that. Nope. No, I know how the Imperium works. That sticker stays on the goddamn can.
So, and then last here it says, obviously, while it is Red Bull, the dangerous nature of green Torox is as if Red Bull gave here we go, their first car seat to Logan Sargent as opposed to Max Verstappen. An F1 joke that the 640K/F1 fans will think is a banger. Slash, quote, a banger, also being how I would describe George Russell's final corner in the 2023 Singapore Grand Prix.
Listen, my brother would love this joke because he's really into F1. He's got like the F1 streaming subscription thing. He watches all the preheats and stuff. He would love this joke. I have no idea what's happening.
Good for you, George Russell's final corner in the 2023 Singapore Grand Prix.
Hell yes.
There is one person on this like right now being like, yes. Yes.
Yeah, please, if you get the joke, comment. We need to know who understood that.
Like 4 people. Now there are a couple other non-alcoholic drinks. I would be remiss if I do not mention Tena tea, which is very important because Tena tea is a very strongly brewed tea from the leaves on Valhalla, the ice planet of guardsmen. It is a very difficult and acquired taste, but it is often well known because I believe Tena tea is what Jurgen gives Caiaphas Cain very often.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that was a specific. I didn't realize that was what he was giving him. Okay,
it's a bit of like it's a cute little thing.
Yeah.
It's just like because Jurgen is this blank and very unenjoyable man because he smells like crap and he's a blank. But he's always the right-hand man of Cain, so.
The most memorable thing about the Cain books was, like, Jurgen could come in and save the day, kill 100 people, and the guardsman next to him would be like, wow, that was impressive. But man, does he stink like shit. This little troll smells like hell, and I hate him. And it's like, man, Jurgen's just out here trying his best. Come on.
Also, Jurgen with a melt-a-gun is arguably the most powerful, thing ever. The dude will just show up with a melt-a-gun and be like, I win. It's great.
Hell yeah.
There's a couple other beverages. There's one known as the Saturn Snake Oil, which is more of like a syrup, like a Motrin. But it is a disgusting tasting instant hangover cure, which is kind of fun.
Snake oil, nice.
There's a ploin, which is a fruit grown in many of the worlds. That's like a nutrient-rich juice that can cure a lot of ailments. And, there's the case. Normally, it's just like, hey, here's this book. Hey, writer, make up something. And then it becomes canon because they're like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Now, of course, in the Imperium, life sucks. So drinking is a common pastime. Now, booze is a huge production thing in the Imperium. And the most well-known one is obviously Amasec.
Amasec, yeah.
Yeah, super obvious there. You can generally make a broad assumption about it because of the word sec more than anything. We have triple sec, of course, which is the orange liqueur. And then there is obviously, you could take the idea of ama or amaretto, which is a sweet Italian liquor.
Love
But
amaretto.
amaretto's fantastic. So Amasec, for the most part, can be assumed to be I mean, Amasec is also, I think, known in other, fiction. But it can be assumed that it is some kind of fancy liquor, top shelf implication. A glass of Amasec, please.
Yep.
This, of course,
Also, triple sec and amaretto mixed together would be banger.
I think it would be too sweet, man. Well, triple sec is not like a drink you just drink. It's like a cordial. You put it with stuff.
True.
Amaretto and triple sec would be like a sugar bomb. I don't think I'd be able to like that one.
We're American. We can handle it.
Nah.
Listen.
Oh no, I'm not drinking my sweet drinks too much. Boo.
Boo. Boo this. How dare you not mainline your corn syrup?
But very much obviously, because author's discretion, Amasec can be is treated in so many different ways. It's acted like it's a distilled wine, like it's a Jack Daniels or a Merlot, probably closer to a Merlot than anything else. Like, it's kind of got like a glass of Amasec sound. It sounds like wine more often than not.
I gotta be honest, whenever it shows up in a book, I always, for some reason in my head, like, it always felt like it was a high-class whiskey. They just kinda swirl it around in their little tumbler glass and, "Yeah, hit me with that Amasec," and it just I always give a whiskey vibe to me.
See, for me, I always thought it was a bit more wine because they always would be like, "Oh, with the meal, a glass of Amasec, please, surf." And then a two, actually, for a tall glass of Amasec.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
often always drank by, like, the nobles. I think the remembrancers often like to drink it too.
Okay.
But yeah, I kinda think of it more of wine, of a wine connotation.
Okay. Okay.
But there's also a very common, term in the Imperium known as rot gut.
I think that's pretty common term in real life too, isn't it, when it
Yep.
comes to, alcohol?
Generic bad alcohol. It gives you the buzz, but a really bad tummy ache.
Yeah. It'll
The
rot your guts.
It's a rot gut. It has wild snake and Necromunda, which is a strongly brewed alcohol in the bad zones, gang stuff. It's made from venomous snakes. Ooh, haha.
Yep.
Obviously, wild snake is a bit of a reference to the mezcal worm there. So, it's the classic.
Also, Shy, I hate to break it to you, but Bud Light is not rot gut. Bud Light is just canned water.
What's the similarity with Bud Light and having sex in a canoe?
I don't know. What?
It's fucking near water.
I like it. I like
Yeah,
it. I like it. I
it's
will
like
always love Bud Light slander because you need to drink like a 24-pack to even get a buzz, man.
It's it's also like you drink like a 6-pack of Bud Light and you get it's like 1,000 calories.
Oh, that's true. It's just not worth it. It's not worth it. Budweiser, Bud Light, any of the this is not worth it.
Now, I'm sure you're very curious. What does Master Chief's suit jerk him off? And
How did you know that I was so curious about this?
It's a common curiosity. It's a common curiosity. Now that being said, we're gonna have to move past that one and ask more about the Space Marine and Mechanicum. What do they eat?
Fine. Go ahead. Tell me.
Now, obviously, we always need to point out the most obvious one, which is the Space Wolves. Yes, they eat very different stuff. They drink a poisonous alcohol to get them drunk. They will have feasts. Space Wolves are much more like the average person when it comes to food, but more of like a tradition.
Yeah.
The halls and the feasts, right?
Yeah. They're Nord Vikings, right?
Right.
Like they're gonna have their crazy parties. They're gonna outdrink and out eat the Emperor, as they do.
That being said, what about the actual diet of a Space Marine or a custodian for that matter? Obviously, the Space Marines and custodians requirements are significantly more than a human due to their size and the exchange. What's the phrase? Like the heat, matter, mass, heat expansion
Sure.
ratio, whatever the hell
Mhm.
it's called. Law of equivalent exchange. But Space Marines have two implanted organs that provide them assistance with their food. The first is the premolar organ, which is a pre-stomach that acts as a neutralization organ that makes indigestible or dangerous foods digestible. So like a decon chamber for your stomach, basically. It doesn't digest anything, but it like sterilizes it.
Sure.
And therefore, a Space Marine can essentially eat anything inedible and get nutrients from it. The
Super helpful.
Literally a Space Marine like eating like a cinder block and he can get something from it.
Yes. I
Uh,
don't know why I am just immediately imagined a Space Marine just chowing down on a handful of dirt.
I'm just him like literally eating rocks.
Yeah,
Mm,
exactly.
like a dumb as dirt, dude. He's
Yeah.
actually eating like paint chips.
Yeah, totally. Just mainlining paint. Yeah. Yeah.
Now going from there, you also have a more Fremen-esque style filtration system in their power armor that allows their muscles to be more efficient and then also reduce waste. So, because of that, these Space Marine can live off something as like a basic nutritional pace for a very, very long time. However, if they are in a state where they have run out of nutrients and are extremely far away from aid, the Space Marine can go into a slight hibernation state thanks to the Susan membrane. I can't hit the Among Us sound effect, but I would.
Yep.
And the Susan coma is just that suspended animation to keep the Space Marine alive for that state. For how long, you may ask? Brother Silas of the Dark Angels was in this state for over 550 years
God
and
damn,
was
that's a nap.
successful. Well, I mean, he learned from the best. That's a Dark Angel.
That's true. It's like it's just fair. I didn't think about that. You're right. Damn, they love their naps.
They do. And so he was revived after that time period. So they can go into a pretty serious, like comatose state. Of course,
Oh, go ahead.
I'll just say Mechanica, Mechanicus. You know what it is. It's an intake in vitamins in a tube of like paste and gruel.
Oh, sure.
You
Yeah.
know, it's not that except for the occasional bite of a cookie.
Mhm. Yeah, I was
BYTE.
yeah, I get it,
Bite of
I
a
get it. I
cookie.
was I was just gonna move on. I was gonna move past it because I didn't wanna
Possum, you son of a bitch. You did another bad one.
These are like uber dad jokes today.
I don't
These
know
are
why.
like my 50-year-old dad was given like a Warhammer like book and was like, "Oh, hey, how about a bite of cookie for the robots?" And right.
I don't know much about Possum, but I'm getting like like late 30s, early 40s vibes
A little
because
bit.
I'm getting like the occasional millennial Zoomer joke that I would appreciate because I'm on the
Mhm.
cusp, and then I'm getting like some reference to God knows what for you, and I'm like, okay, there's something going on here.
Yeah, there's definitely some but yeah, I don't remember the last time I was like, "Oh, yeah," I totally remember a Space Marine, like, sitting down for a meal. Like,
I
aside from the
Besides like
Space
Space Wolves,
Wolves, yeah,
yeah.
I can't think of a time where, like, a Space Wolf sat down for dinner.
Well, you mean like a Space Marine?
Yeah, Space Marine, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, normally, I mean, they have all those damn connectors and hooks in their body. Like, they just need like a paste, a gruel, something. Just you know,
Yeah,
like dude in big power armor doesn't eat much because, like, yeah, you never see them take a shit either. It's like
that's
probably
true.
there's some
Yeah.
waste removal. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, honestly, for the longest time, I kinda just figured Space Marines didn't need to eat, or just one of the tubes was just siphoning in what they needed, and they just never had to, period.
I mean, they definitely need to because
Mhm.
mass and all that, but
Sure.
obviously, it's just they're so efficient.
Yeah.
Um, Now, obviously, we have this part of the section, which is Shy's super special dedicated orc food and drink section, naturally.
Naturally, sure.
Though unfortunately is not what I would call the most exciting thing. Now, orcs can derive nutrients in a photosynthetic sense, like because they're fungi.
Yep, they're fungus. Yep.
They can actually get quite a decent amount of nutrients just to the fact that they can get sun or various types of that because they are
Plants.
indeed plants. They're
Yeah.
fungi. Obviously, they don't always need it because they can be on a ship forever and just think about not eating, and then that works.
True.
But however, it is the orcs are orcs, therefore they still eat. It is very well established that orcs like to eat humans.
I not surprised.
They like to eat humies. However, of course, if I had to ask you what's the most commonly eaten thing by an orc?
Probably other orcs.
No.
Oh, we already said to eat humans, meat,
Okay, come on.
anything.
This is an easy answer. What is like a farming animal for orcs?
Farming animal for orcs.
Bro,
Cattle.
we did a tier list on this.
We did. Of course, I know this, Bricky. Why don't you tell the fans that weren't here for that episode?
Holy shit, DK! It's a squig.
Of course, it's a squig. I totally forgot that squigs even existed.
How dare you forget that squigs
I actually
exist?
forgot
How
that squigs
dare
even existed.
you?
Until you said squigs, I was like, oh.
How dare you forget the
Hair
squigs exist?
squigs. They have a squig for everything. Of course, squigs would be the most commonly eaten thing.
I mean, they got their eaten squigs, and eating squigs are literally limbless squigs that subsist off of fungi and are cooked by Gretchen, which are apparently quite good chefs, and have various ways like kebabbed, marinated in fungus wine, stuffed with fungus and herbs, roasted on a spit, deep fried with fungus chips, or grilled over a campfire. They can also be eaten raw if there's no Gretchen around for eating them, but there's also really like juicy squigs, which are rare, gigantic squigs that are apparently some, and I quote, serious gourmet shit that the knobs and war bosses tend to love.
Damn, that's some serious. So they literally just have limbless squigs that are just like, yeah, we breed these squigs to eat. That's it.
Yeah,
period.
absolutely.
The end. That makes sense for the orcs. Yeah, sure.
And of course, Gretchen and other orcs will tend to play a bit of a joke on their friends, and you might always be, like you might get hit by the good old bomb squig.
Oh, okay.
Or
yeah, sure.
Other things like that.
Oh God, that's an eating squig.
That would be, in fact, an eating squig. Yes, sir.
Oh God, that's gonna stay with me for a while.
It's good stuff.
Look at that poor bastard's face. Like, why do I exist? You exist to be eaten. Oh.
Yep. I mean, squigs have a wide variety of looks, and that would be one of them.
Holy shit. You can make it. Actually, you can make a good Bricky emote out of that.
Ew.
You can make a solid Bricky emote out of that.
I believe you, but damn.
Ew. The brick loaf.
The brick loaf. Now, if you're curious what they taste like a mushroomy chicken kind of thing. In fantasy, there is someone who called it smoked ham with a lightness of a young chicken.
Oh,
so whenever I think of mushroomy chicken, I kind of think of like a jackfruit, like a vegan chicken supplement that you would get at like a vegan place or something.
Okay. So pretty tasty. That sounds all right.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can actually make some really good stuff out of jackfruit. So I don't know with it.
Cool.
I'm certainly no vegan, but they've been trying hard. I won't lie, and they've been doing all right with some of their options.
Yeah.
Now, of course, there are the other Xenos food, of course, but it's a bit different. The kin of the Votann tend to eat quite well, despite their circumstances on the galaxy. But dwarves.
Yeah.
So
they're gonna eat. They're gonna drink. Sure.
Yeah, it's a big part of it, of course. There's the food of the Eldar, which the Emperor's children have been known to consume and enjoy Eldar food. I won't lie, I read this and I immediately assumed that meant that they like turned them into drugs.
Of course.
But apparently not. Apparently, the Emperor's children just like Eldar food because it's so high emotion. It's so highly, fancified, and
Oh, okay.
they're Emperor's children.
Mhm.
However, it may be a bit of a bad example of food compatibility between the species. Eldar food is fairly robust and flavorful due to their senses. We consider it very well seasoned.
Mhm.
And our food would most likely be considered inedible and bland to an Eldar palate. So, you know,
Mhm. It would be
how
perfect for the Emperor's children, yeah.
that being said, if an Eldar food would be good food, you would probably assume it would be such a sensory overload that it would be like fatal to humans, or at least like,
Yeah.
holy crap, I can't eat this.
Mhm.
Naturally, the Emperor's children want to expand their palate,
Of course.
which yeah, is its own thing.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
beside
I've been reading, The Faultless Blade, and yeah, they're crazy.
yeah,
They're crazy.
they are insane. I cannot wait to paint up my Emperor's Children army.
Hell yeah.
There are other species, of course. Tyranids are notably vegan. But the
Sure. Sure, yes. Yes, Tyranids, notably vegan.
no,
Only meat substitutes for the Tyranids. Yep, sure, sure, sure. Mhm,
raw
mhm.
biomass.
Is there
Um,
anything a Tyranid won't eat?
uh, no, remember and I quote, "By God, by the Emperor, they won't even leave our air."
Yeah, they eat everything.
Now in the Tau, though, this is most definitely like kind of goes along with the Tau stereotype, which is more Eastern. They
Mhm.
bring along rations called nimkonai, which are udon noodles, kind of in like a little green sauce that are shaken before consumed in like an MRE sense.
Oh, sounds lovely.
Actually, it genuinely does. Actually,
Yeah,
if my MREs were like a green sauce udon, I would think that would be awesome
yeah, I'd love
instead
it.
of salty crackers and
People meat.
people, yeah, oh, yeah, that, or I meant like real life MREs, so like dry
Oh,
beef, but
okay.
that too.
There might still be people meat in real MREs.
Yeah, maybe.
You just don't
Uh,
know.
but yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, when it comes to the overall food type stuff, it is like generally, not it's up to the author. There are some obvious ones we start with. Corn and water are the big ones, but that's boring. Corpse starch is most definitely, yes, a tofu-like substance that people are made out of.
Mhm.
Amasec is a kind of a catch-all for alcohol, much like recaf is a bit of a catch-all for coffee, but they assume it is coffee and like a wine. But besides that, that's kind of the about it. The most stuff
Okay.
past that, it is just the writer's discretion. If they want some kind of paste nutrient thing, they want some sci-fi alcohol, like, oh, what's the Krogan one? Is it Rincall?
Oh, yeah, it's something like that. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, where it's so good it just like kills you.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's so strong it kills you.
Mhm.
Funny stuff. Love
Man,
it.
I really hope the next Mass Effect game is good. It's not going to be. It's gonna be terrible. It's gonna be awful if it even comes out, and I don't know if I can handle it.
Me getting me playing a prank on Tally and giving her Rincall instead of a dextro-based drink, so she just fucking
Oh my
dies.
god. I was gonna say, you give that to Tally, and it's just one sip, one drop hits her lips, dead.
I love how, what is it? She gets, like, drunk off of, like, some weird dextro wine put in her systems and, at the party in the Citadel DLC, and she's like, "Whoa."
Oh. Damn, the Citadel DLC was so good too.
It was
Anyway.
so good.
Yeah,
Anyway,
another noticeably short episode. Injection
injection
port.
port. Yeah, crap, it was a long episode again. Okay, well, I won't delay it too much longer. Go buy the poster, check it out. We'll be around later. Bye-bye.